Welcome to Lomond Parish Church, and for this thought for the week. There's a story of a man who kept falling asleep during the sermon in church, and his minister was getting fed up with it. So one Sunday he decided to teach the man a lesson. He started to preach slowly in a monotone, and sure enough the man fell asleep. Then he said to the congregation, "Everybody who wants to go to heaven, stand up." And everybody stood up, except, of course, the man who was fast asleep. The minister had everybody sit down again, and then he gently said, "Everyone who wants to go to hell." And with a bang in the pulpit, he said, "Stand up!" And the sleep man awoke, jumped to his feet, and everybody around him began to laugh. And the man looked at the folks at the congregation, and he looked at the reverend and said, "Minister, I don't know what we're voting on, but it looks like you and me are the only ones for it." Remember the story of wee Samuel? In the Bible, just a boy staying with old Eli, and he hears somebody calling him. And so he goes through to see the old fellow, and Eli says he must be dreaming. He sends him back, and he comes back and forward, and eventually there's the realization that it's God who's speaking to him. I often wonder why people go to church, out of habit perhaps, out of loyalty, out of guilt, maybe all of these things, but I think now and again I would hope they might go to hear God speaking to them. It can happen if only we listen. There is a story that's told of a young man who saw a help wanted sign in the newspaper for a telegraph operator. It was a long time ago, and he had studied Morse code at home, but he had no experience. And his heart sank as he joined a room full of other men seeking the same job. And he found a chair and he sank into it. Already he was feeling down, but after a few minutes, his face brightened up. He jumped out of his chair and he ran into the manager's office. And within a few minutes, the manager appeared at the door to announce the job had been filled. Of course, the other men who had been waiting said, "What did he say that landed him the job? After all, he was the last one in here." The manager said, "It was nothing," he said, "but all morning long I've been tapping out in the message on my office window in Morse code, and it was loud enough for all of you to hear. And the message was this: if you can understand this message, come in. You're hired." And all of you heard the noise. He was the only one who listened. I think wee Samuel heard, and I think he had three things going for him. He had a believing heart, he had listening ears, and he had obedient hands, and he was willing to work for what he believed. Believe, listen, obey. Those are the simple steps of faith that led Samuel to be the guy he was. I think that's not a bad recipe for all of us in this first month of the year, the month of January. God bless you and yours, and again, thank you for joining with us today.